Now, this is probably my favorite song on this fantasy playlist. That's saying a lot, too. It just makes me feel good when I listen to it. Cindy Wilson and Kate Pearson just knocked out those harmonies in this record. It's just smooth and just, it's ear candy. Your ears, your inner canal and your ears just chewing on those vocals like ear. It's sweet. It just doesn't lose its flavor. God, I love this record. Deadbeat Club by the B-52's. You know, I remember years ago, I'm going back in my memory banks, I'm going back 30 years. People were saying, I remember hearing people comment on B-52's and REM. They're from Georgia. They're from around the Athens area. And people are saying, these groups are from the South? Because you would think they were from New York City, or you'd think they're from Los Angeles in the South. You think of country music, you think of soul music, think of groups like Louisiana LaRue, the Tams, maybe the Allman Brothers, but the B-52's a quirky new wave band from the South, from the deep South. Well, it happened. They're from Athens, from that area, and they formed in 1976. And boy, their debut album, oh my goodness, Rock Lobster. There were two versions of Rock Lobster. There was one in 78, and then there was one they put on their debut album in 1979. Rock Lobster went to number 37 in England, went to number 56 here in the States. They were so quirky. Americans were not really ready for new wave in 1979, 1980. Not quite there. They were getting there, but not quite there. Not like they were in England and in other countries. This was a country to a large extent of arena bands like REO Speedwagon, of, Led Zeppelin, Journey, Rush, REO Speedwagon. B-52's a little bit left field, a little bit too left field for a lot of folks, but boy, they came out with some brilliant campy records. Their debut album, I remember Rock Lobster, that was in the spring of 1980 when that was as a single. And then there was Planet Claire, the campy Planet Claire. Did not chart. It charted in Australia, didn't make a top 40 in Australia, but Australia showed some support commercially for the B-52's early on. And then there was Private Idaho. God, fall of 1980, but it just, none of these made top 40 here in the States. Play It Claire was brilliant. It's somehow brilliant, cartoonish, campy, and it's just fun. It's just a great, I don't want to call it a novelty record, but for lack of a better term, it was just a fun listen. Then they kind of fell off. They released a couple of albums in the 80s. In 1986, they released an album called Bouncing Off the Satellite. They had a video off that song, and I had it on a fancy playlist in 86. I had a song out called Girl from Ipanema Goes to Green something. Oh, my goodness. Well, goes to Greenland. That's what the name of it was. But tragedy had hit the band a little bit before they made that album. Ricky Wilson died of AIDS. Band member Ricky Wilson died of AIDS, and they were just, well, they didn't even they were pretty depressed, and maybe out of respect for Ricky Wilson, they did not tour to promote this album in 1986. But then they came back with Cosmic Thing in 1989, produced by Niles Rodger. Niles Rodger, the co-founder of Chic, and Don Was. If I remember correctly, was Don Was not Was. I think Was not Was. I'll have to check because they had Walk the Dinosaur in 1989, and they had Spy in the House of Love in 1985, 86, 87, something like that. Well, anyway, you got these two guys, Don Was and Niles Rodgers, big producers. They know how to make commercial records, and boy, Love Shack, I mean, just blew up. And it was just a great party record. Just a barn burner. Just get you some get you some drinks and have a stereo pumped up, and you got yourself a party with Love Shack. Went to number 3. And there was Rome. Now, Love Shack was in the fall of 89. late summer, fall of 89. Rome in late 89, early 1990. Rome went to number 3 as well. Love Shack was number 1 in Australia for 2 months. Australia showing a lot of love for the B-52's. And then there was Deadbeat Club. Deadbeat Club is just, it's a feel-good record. It's just made to make you feel good. It was about their early days, starting out as a band in Athens, and they were hanging out at coffee houses, at hamburger joints. They were hanging out at cafes, drinking coffee. They were called deadbeats by their parents because they weren't working. They were just having fun, just footloose and fancy free, basically, I guess. And oh gosh, I'm losing my train of thought again. Let me look over my notes real quick. Oh, they mentioned a place in this song called Allen's. That was an actual place called Allen's. It was a hamburger joint, a nightclub near Athens. It closed. It closed down just about 7, 8 years ago. Closed in 2011. A lot of folks hang out over there. You might remember the American humor writer from the South, Louis Grizzard, had a whole slew of books out back in the 80s and 90s. And REM, Michael Stipe of REM, and Widespread Panic, patrons of Allen's and near Athens. So they gave a shout out to Allen's in this record. The song, God, I just got into off that album. Remember the song Channel C? Channel C. Now, that was not commercial. That was service to college and alternative radio stations. But I got into Channel C. God knows, I don't even know where I heard it at. I might have heard it a couple of times on MTV. Maybe 120 minutes. But I just fell in love with that Channel C. I think I even put that on a fancy playlist. But we got Deadbeat Club at number 46. Highest debut on my fancy playlist of April 23rd, 1990.